If you're looking for something new to listen to, why not check out our sponsor, the War for the Tower podcast. They are an actual play podcast set in the world of Stephen King's Dark Tower. You can listen on the podcatcher of your choice or go to warforthetower.com. Also, check out Jeff, who is a co-host on Good Idea, a cast member on Something Wonderful Right Away, and host, lore master, and producer of Shattered Worlds RPG. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Some Spoiled, covering A Song of Ice and Fire, Part 2. The co-host Switcheroo. The rereading. Return to Westeros. HBO Spoiler Edition. Uncut, uncensored, and too hot for TV. Bringing you the greatest hits from 96. Call in with your requests now. In this episode, we will be covering Chapter 69, Nice, and Chapter 70, Tyrion and Jon. In these chapters, Tyrion's dad is like, oh, it turns out I have another son after all. And Tyrion's like, oh, I fucking hate this, but also thanks. Oh, I admire you. I hate it all. And Jon is like, I'm doing the right thing. Why does it feel like I'm doing the wrong thing? And Ghost is like, because you're doing the wrong thing, you dickhead. Welcome to Some Spoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
So, these chapters, I feel, are the start of some things like beginning to, I don't want to say go differently than the show, because they go the way they do in the show. But I feel like there's something about the internal monologue happening in these that gives you a little bit of insight that the show doesn't really have a chance to give you.
Yes, I think that is a fair assessment.
What did you think of these?
Well, you know, it's familiar ground, but being able to be in Tyrion's POV, for example, when they're having the meeting about just how poorly things have gone, and that Jaime has been captured and all of that. When you're watching from the show, you get from Peter Dinklage's performance that he is having lots of feelings about what his father is saying,
right?
And that Tyrion is being considered a son now because Jaime is sort of off the playing board. If I'm not mistaken, the show had to then have an additional scene of sort of exposition.
Yes.
Where we get Tyrion talking about what happened with Shay and Bronn, I guess, right? But for this, you get to hear how he feels in real time and get his reactions to what his father is saying. And like you joked about it in the intro, but it is so clear that Tyrion admires certain aspects of his father. And then also has great contempt for him because of his treatment, which, you know, I feel like is relatable to all of us, you know.
Yeah.
Our relationships with our parents are all very complicated. But there's a moment, too, when Tyrion is pissed off that one of these guys is talking about Jaime, you know, kind of slandering his name, I think is what Tyrion calls it.
Yeah, because he's just basically like, how could he make such a stupid move? And Tyrion's like, he's out there. I don't see you doing jack shit.
And then when he has the moment, Tyrion, of realizing that his father has kind of begun to think of Jaime as being gone in a way that Tyrion is clearly not okay with.
Yeah.
You know? And I think those two moments probably stand out the most for me as far as being like what kind of like subtlety is happening that you don't maybe get from the show exactly in the same way.
Yeah, I think that the show, unfortunately, like, and this is something that TV just struggles with in general, is you have to, if you want it to be known to your audience that somebody feels a certain way, they have to say it, usually. If it's in a scene with, like, a lot of people, or if it's not, the camera isn't focused solely on them. And Tyrion, that means that Tyrion in the show has to be a lot more vocal and less guarded than he is in the books, because they need him to just, like, perform his disdain.
Right.
And that's not, you know, it's not like he doesn't do that sometimes anyway, but he is more careful than the show portrays him to be, because they don't have that luxury.
He doesn't say much at all in this meeting. One of the things I like too, there's a Tyrion remarks about how his father hasn't said hardly anything.
Yeah,
like I think the chapter opens with like they took my son, or they have my son, and
that's almost all he says.
Yeah, he just listens for the whole rest until the end, where he repeats that and then tells everybody get the fuck out. But there's this whole I guess it's like a war council or whatever is happening in Tywin's tent. You know, everyone who is anyone is there, and they're getting the news that, you know, Jaime's army has lost. They had to split into 3 camps, and the one guy is, you know, why would he do that? That makes no sense. Because this is a man who has no idea what he's talking about.
Right.
And can I just tell you all, that is some real shit. Where somebody will just stand up and say some shit real loud and not have any idea what they're talking about.
Like, when's the last time you worked on the floor? I'm sorry. Oh, your management. Right.
Right. So, and it has to be explained that that's the only way to take River Run, because of where the castle is and what the Tullys do with, like, flooding the moat and everything. And we find out that Rob's plan worked, because Jaime did go out after what they thought were... I love the guy who's giving the report keeps saying, it was so-and-so raiding us, we thought.
Yeah, he keeps, like, saying things as if it's still understood that's what's happening, and then sort of, it seems like he's catching himself and being like, oh, right, but that isn't what was happening. We've just been going with that line for so long, I forgot it's not true.
And there is a pretty long list of people who are in this tent. And I feel like I'm supposed to know who these people are. Y'all, I don't know who these people are.
I'm trying to find the spot that you're talking about.
Well, it's just like, it's not really like a long list of names, but it's because of the conversation that's happening. It'll be like, I know Tywin's there, and Kevin's there, and Tyrion's there.
Right.
And then
Clegane
is there. There's a Swift who keeps being like, how could this happen?
Sir Harris Swift. Yes, indeed. A shameless lickspittle whose greatest accomplishment was marrying his equally chinless daughter to Sir Kevin.
Lord. So good. I love lickspittle as an insult, too.
Do you know, when I heard that in the audiobook, I was like, I feel like I remember Rashawn saying she loved that word. I don't remember where else we came across it, but yeah.
I don't know, but I do. I do love it. And I just never use it. And now that Facebook is going, like, on steroids with what they're banning and why.
Yes.
I have a friend whose entire account was permanently deactivated. The only notice he got was that it was something from November. and it implied that he was reported for maybe self-harm.
What?
Right? And they deleted his whole joint. And one of the when he made a new profile, he was like, if I was really trying to hurt myself, why would isolating me from literally all my connections be helpful?
Right? Yikes.
Yes, I don't know exactly what, that's just what he said. I don't know what he really, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have screenshots of them, what they told him and stuff.
Exactly. But, people getting banned for just cursing at this point.
Yep.
So maybe it might be time to break out lick spittle,
You replied to me with like bitch and they like gave you a warning.
Mm-hmm. Every time I log into Facebook, it tells me that my account is in warning status.
These people are tiring.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But anywho, so, and then there are some other
come closer to your mic.
Some other
there we go.
I guess generals or battle commanders or whatever the fuck. But there's a whole gang of folks here is what I'm saying.
The gang's all here.
And oh my God, there's this moment where somebody named Brax is here, and he wants to ask what happened to his father. And this is not funny, y'all. He died. I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's the way he died was he was on this raft, and they were hurling stones and boulders and whatnot from the top of River Run, I guess. Mm-hmm. And his raft flipped over, but he was dressed in full fucking like
armor,
mail and armor, like he was about to like fight somebody. And so he sank like a sack of shit to the bottom of this river. And the guy is like, the messenger is like, oh,
he was very gallant.
He was very gallant. And Tyrion, meanwhile, is like, why the fuck would you get on a wreck? And you know what? I guess like in the heat of all of this, because one of the things we know is that they got surprised, they got ambushed, right?
Right.
So he probably didn't think clearly before he hopped his ass on that raft. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it also means that he was probably just sleeping all his shit like that. Which, that can't be comfortable.
That is like, I hear about people sleeping in armor, women sleeping in corsets and shit like this, and I'm like, how do you must be so tired. I can barely sleep if my like hair isn't done a certain way because it hurts my head because I'm fucking tender-headed. And I don't understand sleeping in anything other than pajamas and a big soft bed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense that they would sleep in their shit, But it just something about it, I mean, yeah, I guess you got to be ready to go. And maybe I'm the silly person for being surprised that he was even wearing it. But I still don't see how you think you want to get on a fucking wooden raft when you're wearing like another extra 100 pounds of fucking shit. But Tyrion is just like, oh, that was some dumb shit.
He's like, that's gallant, I'm good.
Right? He said, I wondered if he felt especially gallant as that steel pulled him under the water.
Oh, God, I love that so much. Oh, and there's also a part where the mountain is like, so didn't any of your scouts see anything? And he's like, a lot of them didn't come back, and the ones that didn't see anything. And the mountain's like, well, then they don't need their eyes because they're not using them. So just gouge those out and give them to the next guy. And I was like, oh,
and see if those 4 eyes help him see better. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, the next guy will have 6. And this is, first of all, sir, this is not helpful.
Isn't it?
It's
Lord Tywin Lannister turned his face to study Sir Gregor. Tyrion saw a glimmer of gold as the light shone off his father's pupils, but he could not have said whether the look was one of approval or disgust.
Listen, I felt the same way, actually. I mean, part of me appreciates the energy that the mountain is bringing, right? Because he's saying your scouts have one job. Mm-hmm. And they're not doing their job, so you need new and better scouts. But also, we're talking about plucking people's eyes out and then giving them away. And that just seems like a little too much.
Oh, my God.
And so we get a report on like what happened, who was running what, and they were able to get in and get Edmure and whoever else was being held hostage. That they don't go into detail, but they got all the prisoners out. They lost a lot of men. One of the sellswords just fucking flipped sides in the middle of this shit. I want to know more about this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we will. It just says that he's a Tyroshi sellsword. Mm-hmm. And Tyroshi is a place, right?
Tyrosh, I think, is the name of the country. Yeah. Okay.
So Kevin is like, I told Jamie not to trust this motherfucker.
I love that so much. It's just like, fuck.
And I'm wondering, did they not have enough of their own men? It seems
I don't
weird
know.
That Jamie would have had to resort to sellswords this early in the game, at least. Aren't the Lannisters at full power right now? Maybe
it wasn't like resorting to anything. They just have money, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll hire you. Can always use more people, whatever."
Right? Okay. You know what? That seems.
The whole thing with them is that they've got all the money in the world.
Yeah. And Tywin doesn't say anything here. It would probably be helpful to me if he had piped up. But it's Kevin who is being like, I told him not to do that. Oh my God. And Harris Swift once more. How could it happen? Y'all, this is me. All I can muster in my life right now is, how could this have happened?
The Sir Jamie taken, the siege broken. This is a catastrophe. Sir Adam Marbrand said, I'm sure we are all grateful to you for pointing out the obvious, Sir Harris. The question is, what shall we do about it? What can we do? Bitch, go get a fucking juice box and sit down over there until you've collected yourself.
Oh my goodness. So he starts talking, he is really like beside himself, you guys. So he is basically like, we have been beaten. It is like 2 fights so far have happened. And this guy is like, it's done. We have lost. We have to sue for peace. And Tyrion speaks up at that. And he makes some really good points.
Yep.
First of all, you can't sue for peace because your king took off Ned Stark's head. So that ship has sailed. And also, he's winning. And then our man Marbrand steps in again and is like, yeah, 2 battles do not make a war. We are far from lost. Calm the fuck down.
I love that whole energy. It's basically the equivalent of like him slapping him across the face.
Well, this guy is like hysterical.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He needs a fainting couch.
Perhaps they would consent to a truce. No, not that either.
Yeah, right.
Tyrion's like, we don't even have allegedly she has Ned's daughters, but may I remind you, they're fucking women.
Yeah.
AKA way less valuable.
Yeah, so. that, for a second, I read that, and I was like, did I read that wrong? And I was like, no, I didn't. That's exactly what he meant. Like, they were just women. They're practically worthless.
Yep.
Good gracious. I love, too, that they're just, like, sisters, a plural.
Yeah, they have no idea. I have to assume that Cersei's telling people that she has Arya, and is, like, keeping it to herself that Arya has scarpered.
I would love that to be the case.
I'm not actually positive. I just like to think that she's spreading that rumor around.
Right. I mean, it would seem to me, though, how would she explain her not being seen at court? Because Sansa is around and has been seen. So I'm not sure how she would explain that. I mean, I guess she could just say the girl is subtle and then refuses to come out of her room. But, you know, I don't know how long you can... Because after a while, then you look weak because you can't get this 8-year-old girl to come out and be played by the...
True,
you know what I mean?
True. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. But, so... Does somebody offer to pay money?
They say to ransom Sir Jaime.
Oh, this is the other guy that I don't know. So
Sir Adam.
Oh, no, there's also Lefford. Lefford is the one
right.
that says we should ransom Sir Jaime. To which Tyrion is like, if they want money, they can just fucking melt his suit down.
I love that so much. So they already have his armor, and they're good. Shit's solid gold.
Right?
Definitely
Oh my
isn't,
God.
but nevertheless.
I wish I had some gold to melt down in a pinch.
I know. I see that, like, gold is at a 20-year high. Sell your scrap gold to good old Tom. And I'm like, scrap gold? Who lives like that? What the fuck is, like, oh yeah, I've got all these like worthless broken gold chains that are still worth actually quite a lot. Nah, man, like
My mother-in-law, wait, I'm pretty sure my mother-in-law did that like 20 years ago when those commercials were everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I had a bunch of jewelry. I'm pretty sure she's the one who did that. And got a fair amount of money for it too.
good for her.
Yeah, but my jewelry is generally of the crap variety.
Yeah,
so
costume jewelry is the polite way to describe my jewelry.
That shit goes in the trash.
Yeah. When I can wear it once before it starts to turn... Itself turns colors and my skin turns colors. I don't think anybody's doing anything with that. I shouldn't even have paid money for it.
It's really... Somewhere somebody is like, I can't believe that bitch bought this with real money.
Right. I got this, like... because I was looking for little charms to wear on a plain chain that I had. And the chain was rose gold. And I found this like thing that was like, oh yeah, all these cool snowflake pendants, rose gold. And it was really cheap. And I didn't expect much. But I certainly expected it to last more than one wear. Because that shit turned gray. Like, outright. It looked like you spilled coffee on it. Or something, like that kind of color change. And I just couldn't get over it. There were people in the reviews like, these are so pretty. And I posted the photo of mine after wearing it for a day and was like, no, don't do it. And I have a whole box of these bitches now. And I don't know what to do with them. I feel bad just like throw it. Because it's like a heavy box. And really, I should probably just throw them away. Because what am I going to do? Give other people jewelry that fucking I know is rotten garbage? But I just feel bad, you know? Anyway.
So after talk of ransom and Tyrion just, you know, kind of shooting that down, somebody, I think it's Swift again, is like, well, what about all our friends at court? And that's when Tywin has had enough of this back and forth nonsense.
Yeah.
Tells everybody to get out except for Tyrion and Kevin, and then we get some real information about what's happening in the world, and there's a lot happening.
Yeah. Tywin, first of all, is disgusted with fucking Joffrey.
I know. I don't want to keep digging back to the show, but you know, I remember that.
What are you doing over there?
Sorry, I know.
Fumbling around. I'm just like clunk, 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 clunk.
He is has absolutely no use for Joffrey, and none for Cersei, because to his mind, she is not able to control him, so she's useless.
Right.
Which, I don't know if that is... That's an opinion of her based on how she deals with Joffrey and what she's letting Joffrey do or not do, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder what his opinion of her, just of her, is.
That's an interesting question.
I remember from the show, I just said I didn't want to keep doing this, but I can't help it. There was a plot line for Cersei, a sort of like subtext to her character was this idea that she was just as smart as the men, if not smarter, but her ambition is limited because she's a woman, right? And so I think the way she was portrayed on the show up until the end there was that, yes, she was very, very smart and very cunning, and, and that she just didn't get the respect she should get because she was a woman, and that her father would have liked her exactly how she was if she had been a boy. And I don't know, I have a weird memory of being told that is not how she is in the books. Right?
Okay.
Being told that in the books, she's not nearly as smart as the show made her seem. But I don't know. One, I can't remember the context in which I was told that. So I'm really, really interested to see what does Tywin think of her. Right now, in this moment, he doesn't think very much of her because she's letting her son just wild out. But what does he think of her? I'm really, really curious to find out. But he does not really care about Joffrey at all, and and is also, he don't have nothing to say about that small council either.
Yeah, he's basically like, they might all be purposely making Joffrey look bad. Like, for all we know, they're just turning him, they're making a mockery of him on purpose.
Yeah. Or they're letting him make these bad decisions and not attempting to stop him, not just to mock him, but to weaken the Lannisters.
Right, exactly.
Which is the other thing that he's worried about. He also tells us that he's so funny. He says, what is with Kevin? He says we have a new king, and Kevin is like, what?
Oh my God.
Is Kevin just not very smart either? Like, what is happening?
Low key. Look, I don't want to tell you anything about characters that you need to get to know. But Kevin, I feel very comfortable in being like, no, he is not. Kevin Lannister, it's not that he's an idiot. Not really. But he's slow on the uptake.
Listen, it's just so funny. What? A new king?
What have they done to Joffrey?
Sir.
You think that's what's going on and he didn't, lead with that? What are you talking about?
I love too, it says, the faintest flicker of distaste.
And it's like, is that the distaste for Kevin? Is it distaste for Joffrey? Is it the distaste for Renly
Everyone
Baratheon?
who's not him. It's the thing with Tywin is his contempt for just about everyone in the room, in the world that's not him, and maybe Jaime. And even Jaime right now is fucked up, so he gets nothing but contempt too.
You want to take that? But yeah, the reason that he says we have a new king, the eunuch has heard whispers from the south. Renly Baratheon wed Marjorie Tyrell at Highgarden and has claimed the crown. The bride's father and brothers have bent the knee and sworn him their swords. My daughter commands us to ride for King's Landing at once. Commands us, mind you. He says that very particularly with an irritated expression. So the fact that she's like just telling them what the fuck to do, he does not think much of that at all.
Yeah.
And it turns out she hasn't even told Joffrey about this yet. She's like telling them to bring their whole army back and defend the Red Keep, but fucking Joffrey is unaware any of this is happening.
Yeah. And she's afraid to tell him because she knows she can't control whatever he decides to do. Mm-hmm. Which is not a real strong position to be in. And there's
he's talking about riding out with the City Watch. To bat and like leaving the whole city completely.
Oh yeah. Like this is the choices a child would make. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. What did she say? Tyrion is like, you don't plan to give him this one, I hope. When he's talking about what army he's gonna fight with. And they are in a really vulnerable position, we find out when they like really start telling us what's happening between Renly coming up, Stannis. They don't know what the fuck Stannis is doing. That's a whole little bit about him that I thought was really funny because Tywin does not know, and it's one of the few moments where it really feels like he just cannot figure this fucker out. Mm-hmm. You know, he's just like there's rumors. You know, he's building ships, he's hiring sellswords, you know, he's a shadowbinder?
Bringing a shadowbinder from a shy, yes.
So that's some type of magic, I'm assuming. That's not the Red Woman, is it? She a shadowbinder? That's not what they ever called her. They never called her that. Huh. I'll put a pin in that. I'm sorry. I just because now I'm thinking about the shadow baby, and I'm like, oh wait,
you know, does it count as being bound when you literally give birth to it?
That's a fine point. So they have a lot to be concerned about, and Tyrion decides this is a good time to make a joke. He was mistaken. It was not a good time to make a joke.
At least Rhaegar Targaryen is still dead. I had hoped you might have more to offer us than japes. And I want to be like, why? Why would you think that? Because I'm obviously an idiot who can't do anything, so whatever.
I mean, if you had gotten to know me a little bit better instead of ignoring and hating me all these years, maybe your expectations would have been tempered a bit. Just a thought. Oh, there's this great line, too, with Roose Bolton behind us. Mm-hmm.
He is a wary man, and we made him warier on the Green Fork. He will be slow to give pursuit.
Yeah. I wanted to read into this more, but I really don't think there's enough here for me to be like, oh, is this where it starts, you know? But, I don't know, maybe it is. But it feels a little early, and this just sounds more like him being like, we beat that ass. You know?
Indeed.
He doesn't want any more of this right now. That's what that sounds like to me. And Tywin is telling them that they're going to go for Harrenhal. Mm-hmm. And then, wait, did we talk about him getting rid of Selmy and making, what's his face? Did that happen yet, or is that later?
I think that happens around here.
Right, we're coming up on it? Okay.
Yeah.
So first he says they're going to go to Harrenhal, and he sends Sir Gregor and some other people out to just set everything on fire. I feel like is really the gist of this, right?
Pretty much. He's using terrorism.
Yeah. You know, like, he lost the battle, so he's just going to fucking, you know, burn everything. And if they can't get to the people they're trying to fight, you know, they can't take the castle, they're just going to burn everything around it. Mm-hmm. Which seems like really, like, you know, sore losers.
That's one of those, like, again, with the small folk just getting the shaft, you know, like, they don't have anything to do with this, but they're definitely going to bear the brunt of the suffering. And
he's offering them up to not just Gregor's people and these other people he's sitting out with him, but he tells Tyrion, you know, he calls them savages, but, you know, your clan folk, they can go too and get some of and he says they can take what they like.
Yep.
You know, including women.
Yep.
And burn the rest. And it's just such a it's such a harsh and glaring
tactic?
No, dismissal of the people that would be impacted on the ground, like you're talking about the small folk.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, definitely.
Like, it just, it's not like you could say, oh, well, they're not thinking about the people. They're just talking about burning land. But no, they are very clearly considering the people that will be involved in this and that will suffer and just simply do not give a fuck.
Yeah, the suffering is the point.
And he tells Tyrion that he is not going out to pillage because he is going to court. And no, you can't take your whore.
To which Tyrion is like, lol. I'm definitely taking her, but sure, cool.
Yeah, but we'll all pretend like I'm not gonna. And then, this is the thing, because Tyrion is like, well, Cersei's gonna have something to say about that. And that's when Tywin loses his shit, and he's just like, she can say whatever the fuck she likes. And he talks about giving Harrenhal to Slint. And this is some real elitism. He's just mad because this guy is not highborn.
Yeah, this is, there's a couple, like you said, you mentioned Barristan Selmy already, and he's just like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, the dog, as he calls, what's his face, he's just like, that dude is somebody that you feed under the table. You don't get them up in the seat next to you.
Yep.
And the way that Barristan's reputation preceded him, it inflated like everyone around him as well and made them be and do better. So this was just a stupid move. And then the whole thing with Janos Slynt, his like distaste for this is mirrored by the people that feel slighted because they thought they would be first in line to be elevated, and then this fucking upstart just steps right over them. So, you know, basically, Tywin's reaction is what a lot of people's reaction was. And his whole thing is just like, he was given Harrenhal, but I will be damned if he sets foot in that fucking building.
Yeah. I was just about to say the same thing. He's not letting him come anywhere near that. And he tells Tyrion that if Cersei can't handle Joffrey, you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have to let me know what these people on a small council are really about.
Yeah.
And if they're playing, he's just playing us for false, but, you know, if they're lying to us, playing us, I need you to be able to let me know. And then
possibly outmaneuver them somehow.
Oh, my God. Tyrion asks, why didn't you send a bigger man?
Lord Tywin rose abruptly. You are my son. That was when he knew. You bloody bastard. You think Jaime's good as dead, so I'm all you have left.
He is so mad.
Yes, he is.
But he doesn't do anything. He just sits there. No, like, smart comments, you know, no, nothing. Just sits there in silence. And, his father leaves. Tyrion goes up to his room, gets in bed, and tells Shay that they're going to go to King's Landing.
Yep. I enjoy that. He'll do what he's told, but, like, not the way he's told. So then we go on to Jon. And it starts off with Sam trying to stop Jon from leaving because after the last Jon chapter where he was told what's going on and basically Maester Aemon, right? He's like, you're going to have to decide for yourself whether you want to go because I had to make my choice and live with it and you're going to have to make yours and live with it. And so Jon's choice is to ride south to do something,
right? So this chapter, the action that happens really isn't much. You know, he leaves, he runs over poor Sam, not in a terrible way, but enough that he's thinking like, I hope he didn't like break his ankle trying to get out of the way. Sam goes and tells the rest of the guys, and they ride out and catch up to Jon, and remind him of his oath. And basically are like, if you're gonna go, you're gonna have to fucking fight us then.
Yep.
Because we're not just gonna let you go. And it's a combination of like coaxing, guilting, forcing. But eventually Jon relents and they go back to Night's Watch and try to pretend like none of this has happened.
Right.
However, this is so fun because it's such a thing when young people always think they're getting over with something, that they're pulling a fast one, you know? But the old heads are just like 3 and 4 steps ahead of them. So, when
they're
he
like,
goes,
I was just as young and stupid and idiotic and blind and moronic as you one time.
You know, like you always think when you're young, you always think you're coming up with something that no one else has ever fucking thought of.
Yep.
You know, every time you're like, oh, I'm the first person in the history of the world. They tried to sneak out of the Night's Watch when no one was looking.
And, like, so it would be one thing if he was just trying to sneak out because he's like, oh, this is a mistake, I don't want to be here. But you just got some, like, traumatic news. Do you think that they aren't going to be, like, watching you, dude? Come on.
Right? He got this tragic news. He was very open with his conflict, you know, his internal conflict about what he should do. It wasn't like he just got a raven and then went to his room and didn't say nothing to nobody. He had a whole ass conversation.
Yep.
You know, expressing how he felt like he was being pulled to go and be with his family and during this time. And still, he just thinks that no one is watching him.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
It's really cute. That is demeaning, ma'am. I like it.
So I like to again, because it's not really much to it. He goes, they come out and find him, and they bring him back. But Ghost doesn't want any. He knows this is terrible. So Ghost is kind of like, one is giving him away when he's trying to be all quiet.
I love this so much. Ghost is like by his side when he's riding down, thinking over. I love this moment where he's like imagining how Robb will react when he sees Jon. And he tries to imagine Robb being like, oh, you. And he can't do it. He knows that Robb is going to be like, what the fuck, guy?
Yep. He can't. You're
not supposed to be here. Yeah. And it's like, that is around the time when Ghost doesn't keep up anymore. And he pulls over because he's basically run this fucking horse into the ground. So he's like walking her for a bit in order to give her a break. And Ghost, he's like, psst, 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 Ghost, where you at? Where you at? Nothing. And then when his friends come up, they're just like talking amongst each other. Where do you think he went? Do you think he went this way? He didn't go that way, you fucking moron. And Ghost is the one that gives him away, and it really feels like, you know, his conscience. Part of him knows better, and that part of him is Ghost.
Yeah.
Ghost is like, look, I know that you know better than this, and I just have to, like, make you realize it.
And, I'm just going to lead these guys over here to where you are.
Be super obvious about it. And he calls Ghost a traitor, but really, you're the traitor, buddy.
I mean, ooh.
Look
at you.
He is, though. You broke your vow. Well, you were gonna.
Mean, what does Mormont say? You didn't break it yet.
Mormont's very generous with him.
He's all, I know, I'm ready to meet death. Like,
oh my God.
Why is everybody so dramatic in these 2 chapters?
Because he's
everybody just calm down.
Honestly, I feel like with Jon, it's like, well, I was about to go and, like, make a standing next to Robb, so I'll just make it here. Like, he feels like he's got to do something that's, like, big and overblown, and it's just, no, man, this is pointless. You're not accomplishing anything except, like, soothing your ego.
Basically, I love when he ends up going back to take breakfast up and he has the conversation with Mormont, and he asks him, okay, so you're going to go join the fight, right? Mm-hmm. What's so special about you that's going to be so helpful? Mm-hmm. You got a magic sword?
Are you such a great fighter? You can practically see him just like, you definitely.
But yeah, and it's just like it's a moment of forcing him to understand that what's motivating him to go home isn't solely like obligation or love for his family, but it's also ego.
100%. 100%.
And the Lord Commander is making him face that to try to figure out, that is what's pushing you to feel like you have to do this. Because for some reason you think you are going to be the thing that makes the difference in whether, your family lives or dies, whether your father's avenged or not, or if there's justice. Like, you think you get to say.
Yep.
And he's like, first of all, you don't. And second of all, don't you remember a dead guy came back to life and tried to, like...
Yeah.
Maybe we were not really sure what he was trying to do. But
it's true.
But like, what about us? Like, here you are one of the better fighters. Mm-hmm. Here you really could make a difference. And Jon had not considered it that way before. Like, he really is like, oh shit. I didn't think of it that way.
Because Mormont's whole question is, where is your place? And Jon's doing his whole fucking, I don't have a place.
I don't know.
Nobody cares about me. I don't even have a mother. And Mormon's just like, all right, shut up. Zombies.
Right?
The end.
Yeah. It's like he throws down that trump card and it's just like done. And... oh my God, this fucking bird, you guys.
Oh my God.
Mormont's bird. I keep saying to myself, I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to be irritated by this bird, but it is, I can't help it.
Are you listening to the audiobook for this?
Mm-mm.
Because let me tell you, it's real hard to ignore.
Oh God.
When the audiobook narrators, God!
Oh no.
God! Said the bird. Like,
no, thank you.
Yeah, it's really something.
Mormont also reminds Jon that, like, there's a lot of people fighting out there. It's not just Robb. Mm-hmm. And he says, as a matter of fact, my sister and her nieces, who he's kind of shady about, but, they're out there fighting, and I don't particularly like them that much. But, basically, he says a thing, she's marching in your brother's host, her and those daughters of hers, dressed in men's mail. Mm-hmm. Sounds like he's got a little bit of a problem with that.
A little bit.
And then he calls his sister an old snark, stubborn, short-tempered, and willful.
I can only hope.
I mean, these
someday.
sound like... right? Truth be told, I can hardly stand to be around the wretched woman. Okie dokie.
And then he's like, that doesn't mean I love her any less. Then he stops and he's like, I don't know, maybe it does.
Maybe it does.
Oh, I don't know why that cracked me up so bad, but that really got me.
Well, because people are always saying that shit. Like, I might not like you, but I love you. Do you?
Yep. Yeah, don't. I have like volumes to say about that, which I will not say.
Yeah, not right now.
But yeah, so that's like the conclusion. You're not blind and you're not stupid. When dead men come hunting us in the night, do you think it matters who sits the Iron Throne?
That is the fucking message. That is the message. We're getting it right now in these last chapters of this first book. That right there is the whole thing.
Yep.
And yet, we are about to spend a bunch of time worried about this damn throne.
Yep. And this is when he says, he points out, first of all, you have the blood of the Starks in you, and they fought these things, allegedly. Also, you have a goddamn dire wolf, which is like, this shit, they're practically extinct almost. And here he is tearing up fucking, like, dead men. I think this is where you were meant to be, like, it's fated. And I'm going to be sending you a book, like, Beyond the Wall, because we need to figure out what the fuck is happening.
Yeah. And this is, this is suddenly now Jon is like, oh shit, this really might be something up here. And Lord Commander says, he says, I'm going to go find Ben Stark, alive or dead. And we are going to ride out, and we're going to go against the King Beyond the Wall, the others, and whatever the fuck else is out there.
Yep.
Till we get some goddamn answers. And he's like, and I need to know if I have to worry about waking up and your ass being gone again. Are you really here, or are you just for play?
Yep. And Jon thinks, forgive me, Father, Robb, Arya, Bran, forgive me. I cannot help you. He has the oh, you're right. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice that. No Rickon either. I am yours, my lord, your man. I swear it. I will not run again. Good. Now go put on your sword.
Yeah, because he had left the sword behind when he went to leave because, he wasn't going to be dishonorable and steal the sword.
Right.
Because, he's Jon fucking Snow and,
And he does this whole, like, well, no matter if I have the sword or not, I'm not a Mormont. Nobody fucking said that. Nobody was trying to make you a Mormont. Stop it. He just has to be too much all the time.
He just has a lot of daddy issues.
He do. Ugh. All right, so I'm going to say hi to new patrons. What's up, everybody? We missed a week there, so there's a few extra. This week we have Jules Dressler, Simone Richardson, Alexandria Resnuck, Andrew Stewart, Tasha DeWitt, Givon Fulton, or Giovanni Fulton, perhaps, Cavan, Savannah Schatz, Sasha, and Caitlin L. Holzapfel. I always am curious about where the stress is on, like, names and things, Because it could be Holzapfel, it could be Holzapfel, it could be Holzapfel. But anyway, welcome to all of you. Thank you all very much for becoming patrons. I hope that those of you who are at the tier for Mistborn are enjoying that. That has been super fun to record on. And those of you who are at higher tiers, I hope that you will come to the Unsober. The one that's going to be coming up this weekend is about leaving the house. Because now a lot of us have gotten our vaccinations. There's a lot of businesses that are beginning to reopen. Mask requirements have slackened. And we're going to explore if we ever intend to actually leave the house again. So that's going to be that. And then the week after that, we are going to talk about the second season of The Circle.
My God, I have got to watch that.
I haven't watched any yet because I don't want to wait week to week. I want to be able to sit down on Sunday morning and binge it all the way through. So I'm waiting for them to drop every episode before I get in
That's
there.
a good plan. Yeah, maybe I'll do that as well.
So yeah, that's what's going on there. And then Spoil Me. I am into the second season of Fleabag. I gotta say, guys, I really thought like the first season was so good, and so many shows sort of fall off after they have a really tight story. And fucking the second season of Fleabag is like better almost than the first. It's so good. Oh, it's so fucking funny, man.
I rewatched the series a couple weekends ago just because, and I had just really forgotten, just how well done it was. It just hit on all cylinders, It was, and I didn't realize that was it.
Oh, that there were just the 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, went looking for season 3. I was
surprise!
Like, oh no!
I feel like I heard that they were talking about it, but then I'm going to check this out now. Season 3, Fleabag. Yes, in April, Clifford confirmed to BBC there will not be a third series.
She said somewhere that if she were ever to revisit the character, it would have to have been a significant amount of time to have passed.
Yeah, that
like
makes
she'd
sense.
like to visit the character as a much older woman. Mm-hmm. So
that's a cool idea, actually. I like that.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But yeah, so that show I've been covering One Piece, which is amazing. I swear to God, you guys, that is a joyful show so far. So if you're looking for something fucking really weird and you aren't familiar with anime, I feel like it's a nice stepping on point because like I don't watch anime. It's always felt like there's a lot of aspects to it that you need to know already in order to like be able to follow things. This show, look, One Piece, it's just fucking, it's bonkers and it does not give a shit. It's like, yeah, we're doing this insane thing. Are you on board or not? Get on board. And I did. And it's great. And I'm currently in the midst of / wrapping up soon Robopocalypse, which Krista commissioned because she's been trying to get me to read that book for ages. She brings it up all the time. And it has been super fun. If you guys haven't read Robopocalypse, there's an audiobook as well. It's kind of like World War Z, but with robots instead of zombies. And it was written by somebody who went to Carnegie Mellon, which Krista and I both went to. And they're very well known for their robotics department, and that was what he worked in. So the robotics as a threat are very like well thought out. And it sort of tells you the story of the robot uprising from various perspectives and like how that is accomplished. And honestly, it is unnerving. Owen got a new car. And this bitch has a sensor in it that A, beeps if you begin to stray into another lane without your turn signal being on. It can tell that you're going over the edge of the lane and it's just like, hey, what the fuck? Wake up, bitch. Wake up. Secondly, if you have cruise control on, it has sensors that can tell that the car ahead of you is getting too close, and it automatically slows your cruise control down to whatever the speed of the car ahead of you is. So you can genuinely like check out on cruise control in a way that I haven't been able to in any other car because it just can tell what's going on around you.
I don't like any of that.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I appreciate the safety feature of this. I think that I understand the benefit, but I'm reading a book right now about how these cars can communicate with one another to team up and run people down. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
So I'm just afraid of robots. That's all I'm saying.
In
summary, robots equals scary. People are doing all this stuff where they're like putting automatic locks on their doors that you can control from your phone. You're giving robots access. They can lock you into your house now. Are you cool with that? I guess if you can still open your window manually as long as you can get out.
I mean,
but like,
all these people have never watched any of the Terminator movies. I don't understand. I thought those movies and the message was very, very clear. I don't know where we went wrong.
Do you want Skynet? This is how we get Skynet.
This is how you get it. And we are just like, you know what? We crunch the numbers, and yeah, we want Skynet.
Swear to God. So anyway, those are some things that I'm covering with Spoil Me, which is the solo show that's commissioned. And I just like to mention some things because, honestly, I didn't plug anything that I did for Spoil Me initially because I was like, nobody except the person who commissioned it is going to want to listen to just me. But it turns out that's not true. A lot of people listen to those. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll mention it because occasionally I'll post something about a show I've been covering for like a year, and somebody's like, how did I not know you were doing this one? And it's probably because I don't say, except when I'm posting a link to the Crowdcast. So, anyway, so those are the things that are going on, and thank you all again for your support of the show. If you would like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/unspoiled. Also, Owen and I are getting into the second season of Clone Wars, which was way better already than the first season. And just Cad Bane is great. What a great character. Super fun. And if you have been waiting for us to get to the good part where we're actually enjoying ourselves, now is the time. So those episodes are available on unspoiledpodcast.com for $1. Can't beat that. $1. And they're at least an hour long. A couple of them are much longer than that, but not for necessarily good reasons so far. I feel like the Cad Bane episode that just went up is the best, like the happiest that we've been so far. Anyway, so that's what's going on. And yeah, we only have 2 more chapters of this book, and then we are done with Game of Thrones, and we will be moving on to, what is it, Clash of Kings is the second book?
It sounds right.
And I am just, this is going to be a really, it's going to be where things begin to diverge the most from the show. And I am really, really interested in your reaction to it. I'm really excited. Now we're getting into it, man. And I feel like, I don't want to say it's not depressing anymore, because, oh my God, of course it is. Yes, it definitely is. But some of the, like, the things that I dreaded are really in the first book. And I feel like have been focused on so much that they're, like, burned into my brain. And I think some of the depressing things that are coming are going to be more of a surprise because I don't remember them as well. So at least they'll have that going for them.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you again. We will see you next week with the final 2 chapters of Game of Thrones. And until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Jon, Tywin Lannister.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.